Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 4. We're moving right along in the semester. Hopefully this is a short video. First things, let's just go right ahead and get started. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's all right. We're going to share screen. Share screen. Okay. Here's week 4. You'll notice one thing right away. There is no discussion board this week. I'm doing you all a favor. I decided that because you have a rough draft of your essay due, it would be cruel and unusual punishment to also require you to do a discussion board of 250 words. So we're just doing annotations this week and the reading quiz. In addition to that, you will have the rough draft for your analysis essay. Let's start there because that's probably the most important thing. If you want the description of how to do the analysis essay, it's just a couple sentences long. It's pretty simple. It's stuff you've almost certainly done before, but we're doing it with the lessons we're learning from the Wiley Guide. So scroll down, literary analysis essay. For your literary analysis essay, students will choose one of the texts we have read in class. So that's one of the 4 weeks. That includes this week's content, Live Today Always. And write a 2 to 3 page response. That should just be 3 pages. If you write me a 2-page response, I'm grading you down. So everyone in the video, 3 pages minimum, to the text in which you use close reading to analyze the theme of the text. So we're going to identify a theme. That's step 1. And then the aim of this assignment is to make an original claim about the text using evidence from the text to back up your claim. We're going to make a claim. Now, because of our reading, so that's the whole assignment. We are identifying a theme, and then we're making a series of claims. That's it. And we're going to do so by way of what we've learned in the Wiley Guide. So if remember, week 1 in the Wiley Guide, or week 1, we read about close reading, so we're going to be doing close reading. Week 2 in the Wiley Guide, we read about theme, so we know how to identify a theme. So that's what our thesis is going to be about. For this paper, it's a thesis about a theme in the story that you choose. Week 3, we talked about analytical paragraphs. So we're going to have that specific structure of an analytical paragraph. And finally, this week is argument structure. Now, argument structure is how you tie together separate paragraphs to each other. And we're going to be doing that as a logical sequence and not as a list. So essentially, your project 1, your literary analysis essay is going to be minimum 3 pages, 3. And you're going to have a thesis that makes an argument about a theme in the book. Remember, a theme is not a topic or a subject. It has to be something that the book is saying about a topic or a subject. So it can't just be racism. It has to be racism is bad. It can't just be humor. It has to be humor is employed in order to defray the discomfort of the text. Something. It's got to be something about the world, right? Struggling here to make it up on the spot. Please forgive me. Anyways, so I want you to read argument structure and focus on making a logical sequence, which is an argument that moves through a series of claims that give a logical sequence to back up your thesis. I think the best example of that is actually right here. So instead of saying bicycles are better than cars because they're cheaper, they provide physical exercise, and they do not contribute to environmental destruction, that's a list. We're going to focus on one specific thesis with multiple subclaims that are needed to prove that one specific argument. The one argument is because of the environmental impact of cars, people must stop driving and instead use alternative methods of transportation. Now, the first step to that logical sequence is just proving that environmental destruction is a problem, which is why claim 1 is environmental destruction, in particular climate change, is the most serious problem facing people today. Next, we move on to, at the individual level, the single thing that people can do that contributes most to climate change is driving cars. You have to identify that cars are the problem. 3, people who argue that they need their car fail to consider alternative means of transportation. Getting rid of counter argument. And finally, the final claim should be most similar to your thesis. You'll read that in this reading when you do this reading, because I know you guys all do the reading. But that final claim should be very similar to your thesis. By the time you go through the logical steps, you should arrive at something that seems like your thesis for your final claim in your essay. Okay. So please read this. It's really useful. Important, do not try to prove the entire thesis with your first claim. Don't do that. Your first claim should just be setting the groundwork for your logical sequence, which again is proving a thesis about a theme in the book. And a theme, one more time, you will be graded down if you don't do this right, is not a subject or a topic. It has to be something that the text is arguing about the world, is arguing about the world. So a theme isn't just the topic, it's what the text thinks about the topic. And that has to be clearly displayed in your thesis and then each of your claims. Okay. The story itself, go down to the correct week. Live Today Always is, it says 20 pages, but there are these big old spaces between paragraphs, so it's not actually that bad. This is a funny story. It is meant to be funny. That humor is defraying the discomfort of a situation that is clearly, we'll call it racially tinged or tinged with racism, right? There is this problem of racism in the story, but the author uses humor instead of seriousness. Now, does this mean that racism isn't a big deal? No, but it shows that there are different ways to process occurrences of racism, and that not all Black authors or Black people react to racist incidents in the same way. I really hope you guys like this story. I expect to see a couple people do their essays on this one. It's really fun, and its themes are sort of interesting. You could pull apart themes of, maybe the one that makes the most sense is the intricate relationship between capitalism and racism, how the text argues something along the lines of, you know, making money is imbricated with racism, right? In order to make money, you have to step on the feet of people of color, basically. The text is referring to that theme, how those two things are imbricated together, racism and capitalism. But I mean, there are lots of themes throughout this text. I want you guys to figure them out. I like this one, and I don't want to make this video too long. So we're going to leave it there. What else do we have to go over? You can tell I'm just on fire this week. It's Memorial Day. I'm recording this on a holiday, so, you know, you're welcome. You've got a reading quiz, you've got annotations due, and again, your rough draft of your analysis essay, which has to be at least 3 pages long. The final draft will be due next week. Okay, if you have any questions, please send me an email. That's all for now. Ciao.